Gosh, this is such a powerful week. There's so much. Because then Tuesday, I'm going to switch this here. So then Tuesday at, um, ooh, yeah, Tuesday around 5 p.m., the sun moves to 15 degrees of Leo. Okay. And this is called the solar LUGNASADH. So if you follow the cycle of the wheel of the year, you follow the solstices and equinoxes, you may know about the cross quarter days that happen between those dates. So the summer solstice, right, is when the sun gets to 0 degrees of Cancer. The fall equinox is when the sun is at 0 degrees of Libra. So solar LUGNASADH is the cross quarter date. The sun is officially halfway between that summer solstice marker, halfway to the fall equinox. And it is a day where we are starting our harvest, right? The equinox is more of the harvest time. It's the end of the summer season when we have grown everything. It's the balance of day and light. We're starting to really tilt towards the winter solstice there. But this cross quarter day at 15 degrees of Leo, this is a moment where we start to think about the harvest, where we start to see how our crops are doing, where we might, celebrate. And it's celebrated August 1st in most places. And because of the precession of the equinoxes, it is not exactly aligned with the solar LUGNASADH, but calendar LUGNASADH is celebrated on August 1st. And so this is a moment where, there's more of a abundance and prosperity feeling in the air. The other thing about 15 degrees of Leo is that it's the most fixed of the fixed signs, right? 15 degrees of the fixed signs. So 15 Aquarius, 15 Scorpio, 15 Taurus, and 15 Leo. These are the most fixed points. They're the very middle of the fixed signs. And when we see stuff like that happen, it's called a world point. And it's where there could be a lot of news, a lot of activity happening in the world. There's just a whole lot that is building in August too. There is going to be some dynamic configurations in the sky towards the end of August where there's like T-squares in fixed signs and mutable signs. And there is moments where we have been stubborn, really stubborn, is starting to loosen, where fixed energy is starting to have to open. And so this moment, I feel like, is a deep feeling of where we're like that we're going to see where we're really, our heels are down, we're dug in somewhere. And we might see that there is going to be things that are changing that. It's a great day to just really notice as well, like, what am I harvesting? Where have I been working really hard? Leo works hard. Leo creates and has fun and plays, but also it's a fixed sign. It's where we work hard, where we get dedicated and focused. So think about that. What creative pursuits have you been working really hard on? Now, the last thing that is happening on Tuesday, or something I want to draw your attention to, is that Juno, the asteroid who is Jupiter's wife, Juno is the committed wife, and she commits to Jupiter even though he is what's the word for someone who cheats and lies and is terrible? Jupiter does not do good things when it comes to other women and beings, but Juno stays committed. And so Juno is actually at 29 Virgo. And when we see these asteroids at the 29th degree, it's synthesis, integration. We notice what we've been committed to. Maybe it's a health journey. Maybe it's a athletic journey. Maybe it's a flower garden, a creative series, work. Maybe you've just been working your butt off. Whatever we have been committed to, it's showing some fruit right now. And notice that and celebrate it. And before long, before the end of the week is out, Juno moves into Libra on Saturday. Juno will move into Libra. She hasn't been here for a long time, for 4 or 5 years. So I'm going to give you some dates on that when we get to Saturday, but just noticing what you can synthesize. Wednesday, we get a sextile between the sun and Jupiter. This is always just a lovely energy of the day or of the year when the sun sextiles Jupiter or talks to Jupiter in any way. The sun and Jupiter give opportunity. There's a ripeness. There's something coming to, that understanding. Perhaps Jupiter's in Gemini, which is curiosity. The sun is in Leo, so Gemini and Leo are signs that are quite excited about life. There's a passion. The other thing, the harder thing with this is that, a fire and air, living in fire world, this doesn't feel as quite as good in the fiery sense. The sun in that Leo point could be fires, and Jupiter and Gemini could be whipping them up. And the other thing is, of course, Mars is creeping up on Gemini now in creeping up on Jupiter now in Gemini, which is also like windstorms and fiery energy. So that is one thing to think about. And we're going to have to think about it all of August because we're in Leo season. And we're going to have to think about it because we're dry. We're going to have to think about it because the dynamics of our weather, are really, it's becoming more urgent. And Gemini isn't a bit of an urgent energy. When Mars is creeping up on Jupiter in Gemini, it's an urgency. And so there's also a sense right now of just noticing that. What is feeling urgent? And where can you, again, rest and digest? Venus and Mercury also come together on Wednesday. And Venus and Mercury is companionship. Who is helping me digest? Who is helping me synthesize and integrate? We have a luminescence call, which will be wonderful on Mercury on this day, which really feels like we're going to go deep into it. So what are you doing? What are you learning? Where you can go deep with your people and deepen your understanding of something. That's really what Virgo does. It's like, let's get practical and go deeper into it. Let's synthesize the material. Venus and Mercury too, like they're best friends in a way. They have this companionship. So like I said, just reaching out to people, talking to people, partnering with people, it's a really good energy for that on Wednesday. Phoning people, visiting, it's just really yummy to connect. Okay, Thursday, we get to the LIONS Gate. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, you guys, because there is a lot of stuff about the LIONS Gate. And I'm just going to bring up this fixed star. So if you're listening, just please hold. I am going to bring up the star Sirius on the chart. I thought that I had it up because I've had it up for a while, but I guess I didn't. There we go. So Sirius is over here in Cancer, okay, at 14 Cancer. Sirius is a star that is considered to be the spiritual son of our sun. So where our sun is more of this deep physical, sort of like, you can think of it like a baby sun or a toddler sun, where it's just like physical power and it feeds us and it's our light on earth and it gives us strength and it gives us sustenance. It gives every living being sustenance and strength. Well, the star Sirius is said to be more like a parent star to our sun. So it gives more of a spiritual essence, spiritual transmissions. It's just got more wisdom. And the fact that it's at like such a midpoint of Cancer, it also has more feeling, more fertility, more water. So the LIONS Gate portal astrologically, I know there's a lot numerologically 8-8 stuff that we can talk about. And especially this year with it being 2024. So it's like 888 is crazy. But astrologically, it is the heliacal rise of Sirius. So on August 8th, if you were at the pyramids of Giza, you would see Sirius rise right before the sunrise, pre-dawn. And that's called the heliacal rise. And it is of this beautiful, spiritual star. And so seeing that used to signal to the Egyptians that the flooding of the Nile was about to take place. And the flooding of the Nile brought water, much needed water to their crops and would fertilize, bring this fertility and bring this abundance to them. So it signaled this flooding of energy, this flooding of prosperity. And so astrologically, that's what that day is just the heliacal rise of Sirius. It's not just, it's a big day, it's auspicious, it's a celebration. But it's not all the other things that are kind of set out there. And so I want you though to think about that. again, it's sort of got this harvest energy, right? Lugnasad, the sun is still at 15 Leo when the actual heliacal rise happens. It's not right now on this chart, but when the actual heliacal rise happens early in the morning, the sun is still hanging on, I believe, to 15 degrees of Leo. But anyways, it just crossed that Lugnasad cross quarter point. So there's this flooding of energy that can come in on these days, August 6th to August 8th, August 9th. It's like this fertility that is coming our way. How can you get ready to open your heart and receive it? How can you get ready to connect with Sirius in some way? Now, geographically, you might not be able to see Sirius from where you are. I know it's really hard for us with the mountains. Like we don't have the ability to see a lot of these stars right when they're first rising. But connecting with the energy of Sirius during the Lionsgate portal would be a wonderful way to do it. Having a potluck with friends, would be a wonderful thing to do. It's just a time to connect with the abundance that we have as our birthright. And the Egyptians knew this, and they loved to celebrate with that, being around water, making Thursday a day that you're going to go to a special place, a special lake, a special, creek, whatever it is that you can, and celebrating water and the fertility of water would be a wonderful way to celebrate that. Now, it's also a Libra moon. The moon has moved into Libra and is with Black Moon Lilith here. So there's remember, Libra moons are not for this time period normal Libra moons where everyone's just super peaceful and considerate and wanting to keep the harmony. No, no, no. Right now with Lilith and the South Node, it's changing our relationships. And so there could also be a flooding of energy to come in and say, we need to talk about this. We need to get this through. We need to work it out. We need to, cry and shout and get through things. It could bring literally a flooding of emotion and energy as well. And the flooding of the Nile doesn't actually happen the same way anymore. But, the Egyptians would celebrate that. All right. And the other thing that's really interesting about that Lions Gate day is that Uranus actually moves to a new degree on that day. So Uranus was at 26 for the last while, and that's where we had that Mars-Uranus conjunction. But Uranus now is in totally uncharted territory. He moves to 27 degrees of Taurus. And that is maybe perhaps a moment of new energy, new surprises, things coming in that you didn't know could have breakthroughs yet. You are moving towards a breakthrough. The other thing I wanted to say about Lugnasad, which I sort of forgot, is that because it is the cross quarter day between the most light, the solstice, and the equal light, the equinox, it is a gateway of descent. So we're bringing all of this flooding, all of this light codes, all of these transmissions, we're bringing that down and in, you guys. Lionsgate portal gets oh God, I can't even look out there at some of the things because it's so going up and out, right? It's so oh my God.